Okay, Timmy, how we doing?
All right, there's the world turn.
Well, welcome to the first Most Man podcast.
Beautiful. Glad to be here.
Okay, well, for all of you out there, this is our first podcast about Most Man. And Tim has been a very lifelong friend of mine, business associate. Hell, how many things have we been involved in?
Here's another.
Yep. So, basically today, we are just going to wing it. We've never done this before. Been scared of you for all my life, and I'm going to get over the fear of you. I don't like cameras in my face, but I'm going to break that today. So, what you been up to?
Oh, just looking forward to this. I mean, we've yucked it up enough times and laughed about the concept, and it's great to see it coming to happen.
So, I'll get into the concept of Most Man. Okay. For all you out there that it doesn't matter if you're 13 to 15 to 17 to 18 to 18 to 25, married, about to get married, having kids. I was 20. See, I was 27. Yeah, 27, 28. Settled into life, married, 2 girls. Super successful business. That's when me and you met. Started doing all of our work together. Began the life down on the coast with all the charter fishing that I was doing. And, you get settled into everyday life of married with kids. And, all of a sudden I'm getting this. Most men would want to do this for your wife. Most men would want to, most men would want to do this for their wife. Most men would want to. I know Sunday's your only day off, but let's go to the museum on your only day off. I don't want to go to the museum.
Let's go antiquing.
Yeah, it's just I kept most men. It just happened over and over. Most men. And I know, maybe you ought to quit fishing. You got 2 daughters now, and it's like, well, no, I am a man. Because finally one day I just said, hey. She gave me the whole most men taking out the, I take out the garbage. I don't need to be told to take out the garbage, right? Well, she came at me with a barrage of most man one day, or most men would do for their, and I turned around and I told her, I said, look, you need to go find you a most man because I'm not that guy. I'm a man. I'm a businessman. I'm a fisherman. I am a man that pays all the bills around the house around here. I'm not a man that demands my wife to do. I take care of everything that I'm supposed to do. Like, you don't have to ask me to take the trash out. You don't have to ask me to cut the yard and keep the yard looking nice and oil changes in the cars and all the stuff that I'm supposed to do. You got your part. I've got my part. And I turned around one day and I said, you need to go find you a most man because I'm not a most man. And she looked at me crazy. And I was like, seriously, I'm a man.
The more you thought about it, the more you believed it.
Yeah. So, Walter, throughout all the years, Walter is my cousin. We started a business down in Austin, or I started an office down there for him. Well, it wasn't for him. It was for me, but it was in the intention of grooming him to quit painting, painting houses and getting up on ladders and painting and doing all this miserable work with miserable people. No offense, painters, but I'm just saying. We went down to the coast one weekend just to drink beer and relax and kick back and all that. And I asked him, I said, man, are you getting this most man thing at home? He's like, what do you mean? I said, the whole most men should do this, most men should do that, most men. And he said, oh, yeah. You know the drill, man. Happy wife, happy life. You just kind of got to turn everything in and accept that she runs the show. And I was like, I don't think so. I don't think either one of us need to run the show. That's what, isn't it supposed to be 50-50? 100 divided by 2 is 50 from the last time I checked. You know, and he kind of gave me just, happy wife, happy life. You got to give it all up. And I said, I don't think so. I said, man, they married us because we were men. You know, they enjoyed who we were when we met. That's why we got married. That's why they birthed our children.
Yeah, you can't just compromise away and be happy by default.
Right.
You got to be happy because you're happy.
Yeah. So, you know me. Of course, this is just not a drunk thought, but a good buzz thought. I was like, nah. And all of you out there, this is our logo, but this all is supposed to be a ha-ha, he-he, funny, keep this whole thing fun. We want to have fun here. We don't want to, we don't want to offend anybody, but we speak it the way it needs to be spoken, and some are going to like it and some aren't, but it is what it is.
Yeah, if you're getting preached at, maybe it's because you need to be,
Yeah.
I mean,
well, that's what I told.
Think it through. Think of why you're doing things.
Yeah. So I told my cousin, I said, man, we need to start a company, because every time an idea runs through my head, it's always a way to build a company. Then you get down there, and I said, no, we need to start a business for $69.95. You get it all back. You get your man card, you get your balls back, you get your 12-step program. No offense, AA and NA out there. This is funny, hee ha. Your 12-step program, your recovery program on how to keep your man card and your manhood. So it comes with your 12-step program. You get your shirt, your tumbler, your koozie, your little swag, nice little bag, but it's your man kit.
Your bragging rights.
That's right.
You got to get your bragging rights.
That's right. Whenever they start giving you the most men will, you got your man card, you're not a most man. Now, I'll tell you what a most man is, okay? But that was just a funny ha-ha in the moment, drinking beer. But we really started talking about it. And I was like, man, do you know how this could blow up? I mean, think of the T-shirts, the hats, the keychains, just all the... Back then, what we were talking about, they got so much cooler shit now than what they had back then. But, but it's your kit.
And you're part of the club.
That's right.
You got brothers.
That's right. When you get your kit, you join the men's club. You're in the men's club. We have jointhemensclub.com. It stretches straight into our Most Man website. So I got that back then. I thought jointhemensclub.com. I got to have it. So I got it. And we kept talking. And of course, my cousin, he'll run along with any one of my ideas till it's time to come to work. Then it's...
It sounds like a most man.
Well,
he's along for the ride. Didn't get his wallet out.
Yeah. No, he definitely always been along the ride for everything. He used to be along the ride in the good way, but now it's turned. I'll get into that story another time. But we kept talking about it, man. And I mean, you know me, I was like, man, this is where we had the concrete plant. That whole other cul-de-sac on the other side or behind us was for sale. Like, so all the lots that were adjoining our lots, I was like, I'll buy all those lots and we'll build another shop and we'll start making our own T-shirts. We'll start making our own hats. Let's promote this thing. So when you join, and we're going to get into the greater detail of joining the men's club down the road, but the whole premise is when you buy your man kit, you join the men's club. Okay? You're a part of the club. Now, that's what the 12-step recovery process is, or a rule list, is you got 12 rules that you have to live by. Because it's not a free pass to go home and act like a jerk or an ass to your wife, Now, women, we ran a pilot program with this to make sure it would work. Okay. And do you know that the women jumped on it just as much as the men?
Yeah.
Once they got the ha-ha moment of it's about building better men. So that 12-step program is that's your checklist on what you're supposed to do as a man. If you want to be treated like a man, you have to act like a man. So the whole premise behind this is building better men. And this is how we're going to do it. It has to be fun. Can't be,
we've laughed so much. Just running this up the flagpole, man. And it all makes sense. That's what's beautiful about it, because it isn't like you're just trying to shoehorn some random ideas in. It's an overall concept, and it makes sense. And everybody buys in once they grasp. I mean, sure, you got some people like, whatever. But you'll have that in anything. But the women that say that this is, I can't believe, we need this. Where's this been?
My husband's a slug. He's been on the couch the last 15 years.
Yeah, and the garbage is smelling. There's flies flying around it, and you bitch at him, and he goes, why don't you take it out? Every once in a while, you might want to take out the garbage. Like Mark said earlier, hey, you know what to do when to do it. You just got to do it. Have a little discipline. And women respond to that.
Right. Well, that's what they married, was we had our shit together.
And then what did it turn into? And then everybody blames the other side.
Yeah, everybody gets comfortable.
Take care of business will take care of you.
Yeah. I mean, especially having kids and all that. I mean, that changes the whole dynamic, and the women change, not us.
Okay.
Well, I mean, think about it. I mean, we are who we always were. I mean, that's our job, is to, in a traditional marriage, right? Our job is to bring home the bacon, keep everybody safe, take care of all the mechanical duties, the duties around the house number one, you don't want the woman doing it anyway, because your tools will come up missing. You'll never get your screwdriver back.
My wife blew the lawnmower up one time, and the oil and everything, the pistons hanging out the side of the engine, and she goes, should we, can you check the oil or something? I'm like, check the oil. It's all in the yard.
Well, no, I'm not kidding you. Every time that she would do a little project or trying to hang a picture or whatever, every year, because it got to the point, where I was like, look, where the fuck is my screwdriver, man? I bought that multi-tool kit out there, that whole toolbox that has everything. So when I need it, it's there.
The screwdriver with the 12 different attachments, so you got every possible screwdriver you need, but if the handle's missing, it doesn't do you any good.
This new Labrador that I've got out here. Dude, do you know that he has found every single tool? Not every one of them, but every day it's like Christmas here. Every day I get a new screwdriver. He came up with a 5-pound sledgehammer in his mouth the other day. And I'm in my office, and all of a sudden I hear this boom up against the, sorry ears, but I hear boom up against the door, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, what was that? And he's just standing there wagging his tail like he's doing his job. He had this big 5-pound sledgehammer that he found out in the pasture. Every day, it's like Christmas. He brought me an axe one day, one of those big East Wing, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah. They're expensive.
Hell yeah, they're expensive. That 5-pound sledgehammer was expensive too. But no, you don't want her doing all the repairs. But every year she'd have to buy me a new screwdriver set and wrench set and all that for Christmas. That's what I got for Christmas every year is a tool set from Harbor Freight.
Buy her a tool set.
I did. She lost every single one of them and then started getting back into mine again.
She didn't lose them. Threw them out in the yard, so she didn't have to fix nothing.
She used to give shit away. She gave a $250 pair of fucking jumper cables to her mother.
What is these 40 feet long?
They're 40. They're 40 foot, 40 or however. They're the long in a nice bag. heavy duty to where if she was out in the middle of nowhere and, you know.
See, I'd buy $20 sets of jumper cables and have them stashed all over the place. I'd always have a set of jumper cables somewhere.
Well, no, I'm the one that had to do all the driving on vacation, man. I want some fucking jumper cables that are going to work.
$240 jumper cables. You got gold-plated jumper cables?
They were nice, but she gave them away to her mother.
To her mother?
Yeah.
For Christmas, or
No,
just for the hell of it?
No, she's like, well, I need to jump my car battery. You know, I think it's getting low. So she's at our house, and Ann she was like, just keep them. You're gonna need them one day.
Lucky she didn't unbolt the battery out of your truck and just bolt it into her car.
Well, no, it was all the time, stuff like that. She would do all the time. I'm trying to think of one that she did. She gave something to her brother of mine that I'll think of it later, but it was expensive, and it was something that, no, I didn't use it that much, but when I needed it. I'm trying, but because her dad was an engineer, her brother's an engineer, super smart guy, but dude, he couldn't tie a fishing hook on a string if he had to. I mean, just. I'll think of it here in a minute what it was, but it was like a $700 or $800 item. It was expensive, you know, and she was just like, he doesn't use it anyway, just keep it.
Well, it's funny you say all this. My wife's the exact opposite. I came home one day, she had the microwave all tore apart and actually fixed the thing. I was in shock, and then oh yeah, she's got a Volkswagen. You can't work on those, man. She got on Google or whatever and bought some coil packs and swapped them all out, and I didn't have to mess with any of it. I mean,
well, you've told me several stories like that.
Yeah, my wife's a machine. So,
yeah. No, I mean,
I'll support her with all the tools she needs, but
I might be harping on my ex-old lady, but
nah, she.
I'll take a look at this timer.
She tortured you properly. It's pretty funny.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean, from my standpoint, it's pretty funny.
Okay, so what we're talking about here is the typical. Well, hit your camera again because I forgot to hit the start button. So, but at any rate, so what the emphasis is, so we'll get this out of the way to where we can just talk about whatever the hell we want to talk about, and this is going to morph slowly, you know, throughout time. But so a most man, you don't want to be a most man. Okay, a most man is a guy you can tell by the way he walks to the mailbox. You can tell by the way he walks in the store. You can tell by the way he walks in Home Depot or Lowe's. You can tell at a party or anywhere, soccer games, football games, whatever, that this is a middle-aged man that is just fucking given up. He's accepted that 100 divided by 2 is 50. He's there to pay all the bills and make all the money. He's just an ATM machine. The woman runs the show. She runs the house. She runs the kids. She makes the rules. And, you know, we're not allowed to discipline the kids, because when we discipline the kids, it's being too hard on them, you know. So you're basically, you walk in and you're just expected to pay all the bills and take any shit that comes your way. And you've just expected, and you've given up on life that, you know, and as men, I mean, and I'm speaking for my part, but we're going to get into generalizations of other men just throughout time. And that's again, this is our very first podcast, so we're just going raw. We don't have a real format. We just kind of turn it on and go.
I even got the wrong kind of koozie for my beer. I can't put it in there without spilling it, so I got to do the beer transfer over here, but I'm all right.
Okay. I can get you a koozie.
Well, I got some in the truck, but.
At any rate, what was I saying?
We don't know what we're doing, but we're doing it.
Yeah. No, but so I had a pretty good wife. You know, I didn't have to put up with all the other bullshit that most other people put up with. I mean, When I wanted to do something, I did it. When I wanted to buy something, I bought it. Whenever I wanted to go fishing, I fished. If I wanted to build a house at the coast, I built a house at the coast. I didn't ask for permission to do for anything. I mean, I provided a hell of a lot for them, and I shouldn't have had to have asked. But I didn't have to put up with the normal bullshit that most men have to put up with. And neither of you. You have a great wife that.
Yeah. See, I'm married for. It'll be 30 years here this year, or next year, and 2 kids graduated college, and self-employed, and AC business, and I've done all kinds of things and seen all kinds of things, met all kinds of people, and got a bunch of great golfing buddies, and they're like my family, and heck, my wife, I could grab my golf clubs and head out the door and say, I'm going to have an affair, and she'd be like, yeah, you're going golfing. I mean, it's just, you're going golf. Drink some beer, watch some music, go golf, and yuck it up with my buddies.
Don't hear a word about it.
I live a blessed life, Yeah. And I've never had
There's a lot of men out there that don't have that.
Man, and there were some rough spots, and once we got through them, man, then we both planed out, and it was like we both understood what was going on, and, how to get this thing across the finish line. And, I'm 60 years old, and, I mean, the road's a lot longer behind me than it is ahead of me.
Oh yeah.
And me and my wife are so cool with how we're dealing with everything going forward. Man, I'm just looking forward to ride it out. So if I can give any advice to young people or old people, or, half the time people whip their own ass,
Oh yeah.
A lot of times the people that have problems, they're their own worst enemy, Sometimes you got to just think about what you're doing and why you're doing it, and make some good decisions. And it sounds so simple, but I mean, I've got so many buddies that wound up behind the 8 ball somehow, and you're like, what the hell? And they're like, I don't know, man.
And when you lose your rhythm, you lose your rhythm. It's hard to get the ball back rolling again, So, which brings me to the point, because I want to get the point across quick, so where we don't just go rambling on.
Because we'll do that.
Oh, we will ramble for hours. But so the point of this company is the man card, and joining the men's club and all that. It's fun, haha, and it's meant to be fun. It's meant to be fun for the guys and the girls, because the girls think it's funny too, if it's explained properly. But the backbone of this company, of what we're building, and the purpose of this podcast and the content that we're going to create in other areas, is that this company is about building better men. We want to build a better man and prepare young men. I've got a 13-year-old son that they get it. They see the what's happened in my children's lifestyle, or in their lifetime. My kids get it. Like, my son is 13, and he's like, that's not the life I want to live, what they're selling right now. That's not that. All this is so off the rails and off the charts wrong. So this company and the content and all the stuff that we do or are going to do, which we'll get into that later as well. We just wanted to do this first podcast. I'm getting my fear out of you. Been afraid of you my whole life, camera. But our whole purpose is building better men and building a better future, or we want to guide young men.
Yeah, we're not trying to build anybody. We're trying to show people how to build themselves, how to give them the tools how to get over what's messing with them, or just
it's
a self-help thing.
Well,
we're not here to preach to anybody about this is the way you do it and don't do it, because what works for one person may not work at all for the other person. No. But as long as they understand why they're doing it.
But it's the content that we're creating, or we're going to create, between me and you, and there's going to be many people involved in this. But there's going to be, on these podcasts, we're going to be talking to people and sharing content of people that have have actual life experiences. They've done something in life. They've built very successful companies. They've achieved in life. They've lived a good, clean life. They are who they say they are. I mean, so, but the purpose is to get men that are in the rut. If you're in the rut, if you're a most man, we want to jokingly and funnily get you to join the men's club, and you got your man card. But all of a sudden, let's get you out of the rut. What's going on? What do you do? Because your wife is wanting the same thing out of you. If you're, and I'm not a sports athlete over here, but you got a beer belly hanging over your waistline. What woman wants a big drunk dude on them? There's a reason why you're not getting any in the sack. That's in our pilot program. That's what the women were saying, was like, look, I've been asking him to get himself together for years, and he's just given up. I mean,
he ain't ate a salad in 30 years.
Yeah. So the whole thing is for the younger generation, I just went through a 20-year marriage. I was married to my wife for 20 years, and honestly had a pretty decent one. It wasn't that bad. It just wasn't that good either. It's just we became bad roommates. But just young people that I'm talking to out there, like young to 21, that's the peak time of your life for you to do everything that you want to do. Yeah, girls are great, but they're also dream killers. I mean, they are. I mean, but that's the time where, think about when you may not have went through it, because you met your wife at a fairly young age, right?
No, I didn't get married until I was 30. I didn't meet her until I was 27.
Did you ever get your heart broken?
Yeah.
How long did it take you to get over that?
Yeah, it tore me up pretty good.
Yeah, it takes a long time for a guy to get over a heartbreak. A hell of a lot longer than it takes a woman. That's for sure. Okay, so that's what we're wanting to do, is to lay it out through life experiences, through all of our peers, our business partners, or our business associates, just people that we know, professionals, that, and parents that have got kids that, I'll get into my family history down the road. I want to be able to make sure that I'm good at this before I do that, because I want to really tell the story, but, marrying the wrong person can wreck the first half of your life. And I'm starting over right now. Like, I'm the prime example. I'm 45 years old and lost millions of dollars just because I got hit by a hurricane. It wasn't the company's fault. It wasn't my fault. We got hit by a hurricane.
Yeah. What are you going to do about that?
Yeah.
What's the plan B?
It's like Tyson says, everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the face. Yeah. Well, I got punched in the face, and I lost everything. And I was a very, very successful businessman. And at a very young age. And I'm 45, and I am starting over right now. Like, this is my beginning. I'm going to prove to you that you can do it. It can be done. You just got to get back on the horse, man. But here's the thing, is that there was a moment when I met my wife, or future wife, there was a few key moments to where I was like, you're telling me if I don't marry you, we're ending it just because I'm not ready to get married yet? You're 2 years older than I am? And if I won't commit to marrying you, you're going to go back to shopping? It's not my problem your biological clock is ticking. I've got a part in this too. I've got a very successful business at 25 years old. I was doing great. That's the last thing I wanted to get tied. I was watching all my friends getting tied down with women they shouldn't have been tied down with. And it's not that they were bad girls or they were bad guys. They just didn't think it through. Well, not thinking it through, sometimes it only takes a year or two, but sometimes it takes 5 or 6 years for you to figure out that you made the wrong choice.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. On her part, doing the math here, it's like, okay, so I really want a husband, and I found this guy, and he's really husband material.
Oh, I checked all the boxes.
But if he doesn't marry me, I'm just going to go and like they're a dime a dozen out on the road, you know?
Well, no.
I mean, well, that makes no sense. That if this is the guy, then you got to fight for the guy and win the guy over, and
And she did all that to pretty well.
I mean, you don't put up with it for 30 years or 10 years or, I mean, at some point you can go, look, we've been living together. We got 4 kids. I mean, are we getting married or not? I mean, I get it. At some point you can say,
well, what it was, and today is still the case. I'm not bragging. But back then, again, I had a lot of friends I saw what it was doing to their life. And I was sitting there going, man.
Oh, yeah, young people, that when you get out of high school or college, that they feel that there's family pressure sometimes. Their other sister got married. That's like, well, that's what you're supposed to do. You go to school and then you get married. And so, but there's like a rush to get married, but you need a rush to quality. You don't need quantity, you need quality.
Right.
And sometimes people don't really think that one through. Nice shot over there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the first for that one too. Trash can shot. But anyway, yeah, there was a few moments where I was like, hold up a second here, man. Let's pump the brakes. Like, did you really just say that? Because I had a couple of girls before her, but I'm saying I'm witnessing my friends at 25 that got married at 18, 19, 20 years old to their high school sweetheart. Just in 100 divided by 2 is 50. All that money that you save up for your first house, all of that stuff, 100 divided by 2 is 50. And 9 times out of 10, who's the one that's coming up with all that money? The man. Or the guy.
It's funny you say that. When me and my wife put a down payment on our house, she said, the house we still live in, as a matter of fact, 30 years later, she said, how are you going to come up with your half? And I was like, she goes, well, I'm going to write a check for my half. I don't know what you're doing for your half. So it's funny.
Yeah, but
that's why Mark has me on this thing. Because I mean,
but here's the thing. You've always had, you have always had the exact opposite of what everybody. Yeah, I mean, it's going to blow all these people's minds that you have what you have. It's rare. No, but again, my ex-wife was kind of the same way. She's a saver, not a spender. Money doesn't move her needle. So she had money in the bank. She had money in her retirement account and all that. So
I'm a spender. I only spend it on beer and golf and music, and that's all cheap.
Yeah,
I'm rich with airplanes, and you got cigar boats, and people buy big expensive shit. It's like, hell, man, the maintenance on that. I can just live on the maintenance and insurance. I can live all month on every month, and your bill comes due again next month. Not as you. I just mean somebody who like has expensive toys.
Oh yeah.
The upkeep on those toys.
Oh yeah.
I can live like a king, and happily. That's the whole thing. I'm like a dung beetle, I mean, I just got my ball of turd rolling around, and I'm just thrilled shitless,
Yeah.
I mean,
well, but the thing is that after going through what I went through, which we'll get into all of my stuff later, it's just too long of a story to try to nab it on this first go. But I'll give you the highlights of. I lost a multi-million-dollar business in that hurricane. Lost a boatload of money.
And your future income.
Dude.
Yeah, the income stopped.
Dude, the magnitude of what I went through. Now that's why in this company I'm going to figure out a way to donate some money back to vets again, because PTSD is real, dude. That's
no
what
doubt. Sure.
when I went through that, you know, and that was my whole thing was when the ball started falling, you know, I tried to do it to where it didn't affect my family's life, anybody's life. You know, I wanted to maintain. I didn't want they're at the most critical point of their life. I don't want to, you know, be the guy or the dad that, you know, my kids are going to school going, you know, yeah, I want their life to be normal because I was the one that had to go through that life of single mom, you know, no money, you know, working at age 10. If you want anything cool in life, you're going to have to work for it, you know.
Yeah, my dad was born in 26 and my mom born in 29. And, you know, they grew up during, well, they were kids during the Depression, but they knew what it was like not to have anything. So, I mean, I grew up in a family where you saved everything and you didn't waste nothing and on and on. And, you know, that's rubbed off on me. I see these commercials, this progressive commercial, whatever commercial it is with the guy, hey, don't turn into your parents. You know what? My kids do some stupid shit sometimes, you know, like leaving the house without a freaking jacket when it's going to get cold. And I'm telling them, hey, it's going to get cold. You might want to take a jacket. And they're out of college, for God's sakes, with degrees, you know. Well, I'll just fight through it. And then, yeah, but I'm going to have to look at you be miserable, you know.
Oh, my son came home.
Get a freaking jacket, you idiot.
My son came home the other night after I bought him that 250 motorcycle. He came in. It was cold.
Yeah, it gets cold. We're in Texas, but it gets cold.
Yeah, but he came in and he was like, how do I thaw out my feet? And I'm like,
how about keep it from happening, genius?
Well, they're out there riding in the wet grass and all that, so his shoes were soaking wet and his socks were soaking wet and never stopped. So he went into the bathtub and just filled it up. He's like, I can't feel them. He said, it feels like there's a million pins and needles. I said, yeah, that's the first stage of frostbite. You know, that's your the heat versus the cold that your skin is at right now. That's what it's telling you. Is that we're at that end of the spectrums at the very end. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it doesn't get better by itself.
No, and he told me last night. He said, "Well, I took some money out of my safe because I told him. I said, look, you're 13 years old, and he's entrepreneurial enough, you know. And I'm not gonna make him buy everything, but dude, all of my kids have got money in the bank, you know, like that I gave them, you know. Trying to check the time here. Did it go black?
Yeah, just real quick.
Okay. All right. Anyway. All right. But yeah, he came home. He's like, I took some money out of my savings account. I just want you to know. He said, I bought me a pair of boots just in case it gets cold again. And I was like, yeah, all right. I told him, I said, look, man.
Yeah, most kids. Yeah, most kids.
Yeah,
most kids would be like, Dad, I need a pair of boots, and you run down and get them a pair of boots.
Well, no, here's the thing. That's what I've gotten tired of. Is I used to do that, and then I'd hit him with the lawnmower, or it'd be a dog chew toy. You know, it's like his helmet one day. A brand new helmet. I spent.
Well, a 13-year-old's different than a 27-year-old or something.
Well, this is.
Well, considering one of my kids doesn't even live at home, the other one came back from college. COVID kind of hit, so we inherited him back. But he's working on selling some insurance and stuff, so he'll get a job and then get out of there. But it's pretty cool having him around back after college. Otherwise, we'd be empty nesters, and you know, there's plenty of time for that in the future.
Well, yeah, but I'm there right now. As soon as he gets home, it's, hey, Dad, bye, Dad, going to ride. And then you don't see him until the sun goes down and it's time for him to go home, you know. So, but, no, we had time.
Yeah, see, they can edit all this.
No, we're not editing it. We're just going to let it roll.
All right.
Yeah, we're not going to start editing.
Well, then we'll just keep going till I need a break, but I don't need one just yet.
I just reset it. I'm going to start.
I can drink a couple more beers before I need to facilitate.
All right. But at any rate, Yeah, so the whole point of what we're getting at before we get off track of, just for this one, I mean, we'll be able to nail it in more shows down the road, but the whole point of this is we want to help young men especially, but this is also good for the girls, because if you've got a guy, my whole point of, I was watching all my friends just make the worst decision of their life at the best time of their life.
Or the worst time of their life.
Well, no, you're that part of your life.
No, that's the worst time to make that decision.
Exactly. Your 20s into your 25. Man.
Yeah, if you're gonna make a bad decision on a marriage, make it when you're like 85 and marry a 28-year-old.
Yeah, that's how you do it.
Yeah,
what they call it, sugardaddy.com.
It's called time. It's all in the timing.
Yeah. Well, no, but it's I had good, smart friends. I mean, that were smart, that had businesses, and all of us were growing up. We were all, I grew up in a small town to where everybody, you're either going to stay there or you're going to do whatever it took to get out of there. And there was a list of us that we're getting out of here. We're not sticking around for this crap, man. This is,
My wife grew up in a small town in northern Wisconsin. And when she graduated from college, she sent 3 resumes out. One to California, one to Texas, and one to Florida. And she said she didn't care who called her. And Parkland Hospital called her, and boom, that's where she went to work. And then, of course, I met her at the other hospital there, but working there. But, yeah that was kind of that. It was like, get me out of this cold. She wanted out because of the cold. People can want out for whatever reason they want to get out.
Okay, well, guys, just know this. Girls mature faster than we do. And they've got a plan. They've got a plan by the time they're 16, 17 years old.
Yeah, I married a gal with a college degree, and I got a high school diploma.
But I'm saying...
but I brought the money home, and hell, she was making more money when we started going out, and all my friends were giving it the old... hey, Tim, doesn't that make you feel weird that your girlfriend makes more money than you? It's like, what are you, stupid?
Yeah, no.
Jesus.
Well, but the point I'm trying to make is that girls, guys, the frontal part of our, the frontal lobe, it doesn't mature until like 24, 25. Like, we don't fully mature until we're 25. Girls are mature at 18 years old. And they've got a plan. They've had a plan.
Yeah,
they're going to be married by their 24, 25. They're going to get all their little heyday done between 18 and 21. Then 21 is when they can go to the bars and they're dude shopping. That's what they're doing. They're shopping, and if they check the boxes, they might not even be in love with you. But if you check the boxes and you're good enough to have a baby with, you're marriage material, buddy.
Then you better watch out if their sister just got married. Then they got to have some of that.
Well, that's the funny thing about.
They need to steal the thunder back.
No, here's the funny thing about our deal. When we got divorced, she's the first divorced sister in the family. Now all of a sudden, both of those sisters are barking, and the husbands are like, "Yeah." I talked to my son about it the other day. My oldest brother-in-law and sister-in-law. The one that I hate. We'll get into her that can take one show, okay? My brother-in-law is the biggest, most man you've ever seen in your life. This guy he's the dean at the college here in town. He's the dean. He's the top of the top. I mean, he's a public figure.
He's the head of all the junior most men's coming up.
Yeah, no, and we're in a restaurant and he had just got the job. He had just completed his first year. Okay, and where I live we're in a small town again, smaller town, it's a country town, but we're in a restaurant, and every time we would go to the restaurant, because again, we'll get into her later, but I haven't spoken a word to this woman in probably, 18 years, because that's when my daughter was born, and that's when it happened. But she stood up in the middle of the restaurant. But every time we would go out to dinner, since the hatred was so bad, I would always be buying him beer. I'd be like, just keep him coming, you know,
like giving a little kid sugar.
Yeah, because she'd be like, that's enough. And I'd be like, oh, I'm buying, just keep him coming, you know. And he's over there, you know, miserable as hell. Well, so we're at this restaurant, and I'm just like, bring 2 at a time. We need 2. You know, it's been a rough week in the family, you know, and so
I remember when happy hours they bring you 2, and then they they cut that out.
When the food came, of course she was so, you know, they showed up in a fight. You know, she had been yelling and screaming at him over probably just driving, you know. Like I think
he stopped at the red light too abruptly.
No, the week before he got out at the stoplight. You know, she was at his throat so bad. He had enough. He was like, I'll walk or I'll call me an Uber.
Well,
you know, I'm not putting up.
Hey, he had little potential there. You know, I mean, the most man.
Yeah, but then he started calculating his walk, and he called her and told her to come pick him up.
Oh, see, you can't do that.
So, at any rate, so he his food came, and as soon as his food came, she didn't order anything because she was pissed. She took his food.
That'll show him.
He was just getting his napkin into his lap, and she took his whole plate. It was like a red fish, you know, with crab or shrimp gravy on the top. He was like,
oh, he was drooling. I'm wanting some right now.
Well, no, and he's an eater. He's an eater too. Like this guy will eat 2 or 3 helpings, anything. Like Thanksgiving and Christmas, my mother-in-law used to be like, God, you are such a, you know, it's disgusting to watch you eat. You eat so much. You know, and he'd be over there just yucking it up. But anyway, she shoved his whole plate of food off the table. And he stood up and he was like, what the hell did you do that for? And she stood up, and because this was right after her mom died. It was like a month and a half after her mom had died. You know, and the funeral had passed and all that. Like, we got all that stuff out of the way, and we're trying to figure out what the dad was going to do and blah, blah, blah. At any rate, she stood up in the middle of the restaurant and started screaming at the top of her lungs. And mind you, our family, everybody's got 3 to 4 kids, or my previous in-law family. So there's like 16 people at this table. Like, we are the table in the restaurant. I mean, everybody's just like, God, would you get that party out of here so the line would die down, you know?
Yeah.
So she stood up, and she must have said it 12 times. She said it once. I swear she said it at least 12, 15 times. I don't have a mommy anymore. This is a 49-year-old woman screaming at her husband at the top of her lungs. I don't have a mommy anymore. I don't have a mommy anymore. And everybody in the restaurant is just like, what in the hell? And everybody's just like, you know, they're like, Mark, you got the bill, right? You know, it's like, I guess, you know, didn't want it, but it was like a $600 bill, you know?
That's just crazy.
Yeah. So they run outside, and they're almost fist fighting out in the parking lot. He's just trying to guard himself, you know? And, I asked Ann, I was like, does she not know that her husband is the dean of the whole effing, like, everybody knows who he is.
Everybody knows who his wife is now, too. Holy mackerel.
Dude, it was the most, and I know a lot of people in this town. It was so embarrassing. It was just like, I had 4 or 5 phone calls the next day going, what was that? Is that normal? Does that happen often? And I'm like, I told you I don't like her. There's a reason.
Yeah, that's pretty off the wall.
No, she's nuts, man. This woman is. Well, I would hate to know what she's done to him behind closed doors.
Well, what I think is funny is you're saying that you ain't talked to her in all this time, and after she sees this podcast, don't think you're gonna have to worry about it.
Oh no, I'm gonna tell the whole story on her one day. It's just like we're gonna have a series when we start talking about my dad.
Oh man, he's a legend.
We're gonna have to have a stories about my dad series. That could be the start of our comedy career.
It'll be more successful than this. Your dad was the biggest, the biggest lovable knucklehead that ever. Oh my God!
Yeah,
the Pat. Let's do it.
Yep. Yeah, he was a work of art. Love you, Dad. But you're right. So this is what we're talking about. Is this is what this company's about, and all the content that we're going to be creating is to help build better men and help make better decisions, and just we're going to just keep all this out on the forefront because, especially today, I mean, these younger kids don't have the opportunity that we had. I mean.
Well, I grew up before cell phones, and
I was forced into cell phones. But what I'm saying though is that these companies don't want little, pardon my French, but the Hispanics have taken over the construction market. I mean, and good to them, man. You give a Hispanic guy a freaking 2x4, man, he'll move the world. They do some of the most amazing work that I don't think even back in our days could keep up with what they do.
No, man.
There's no way.
I've worked side by side with these dudes, and yeah, they eat my lunch.
Well, but
I mean, they do. You can't keep up.
Well,
I hire them all the time. I pay them well. I want to know why I pay them well? Because they earn it.
Well, and they're honest.
They earn
Most of them are honest,
No doubt.
They just want to take care of their family, and that's what I'm saying. Hats off to them. I had a bunch of them work for me in the concrete business.
Oh yeah, the family thing, man. Be like, hey man, we got to knock this out this weekend. Oh man, Sunday. It's my,
the familia day.
Oh man, and I totally respect that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, well, it'd be cool if we could get this done by Monday.
Yeah, it's Iglesia and familia.
And I'm not saying 100%. They just like take it off. Like a Jew on the Sabbath or something. I mean, I'm a Christian. I'm not supposed to work on the Sabbath, and I do. Hell, man, that's how you pay your bills and the taxes and all that. And maybe I got an answer to that someday. But
it's putting in a few good licks too. But
you're probably not supposed to drink on Sunday either.
But when I had the concrete company, man, I had a rule. I wouldn't hire a millennial male. Wouldn't do it. I'd hire a millennial girl.
Age discrimination. Hey, well, your company's defunct. What are you going to do? Sue it?
Yeah.
Go down there and find it in a hurricane.
Yeah.
Just give it a summons.
Well, no, I would rather work with women any day of the week than especially younger men.
Yeah, they're all on their cell phones.
They're on their cell phones looking at girls. All they're thinking about is how they're going to take care of number 2 down there. They're not working with their head. Girls have got their shit together. My secretary, she was 23 when she came to work for me. And man, I'm telling you, that girl ran laps around the other women that I had in the office. I got rid of all of them. But when I went in there, I was like, this is what I'm saying, guys. Girls mature faster than we do. They have a plan. They're already on their plan.
Well, hey, check this out about the age thing. So when I was younger, call it, early 70s, and I'm 10, 12, 14 years old, and, you hear about this Renaissance man, I remember literally trying to figure out, Renaissance man, what's that about? So I kind of looked it up, It's like somebody with all these talents and can do all of this stuff. Well, back then, a Renaissance man from like the 50s, he can oil paint and he can speak 3 languages.
He can surf and mountain climb.
Yeah, mountain climbing for sure. It's like, who does this crap,
Builds log cabins.
Yeah, all of it. He can do all of this stuff, And like a kid, by no means am I a Renaissance man, even though I can do some things, but I don't consider myself an expert in any of it. But what do kids today? It's like in a Renaissance man from the 1800s, I mean, the stuff they could do. Hell, they could cut a tree down and not just build a log cabin, build the wood to build a log cabin
or build a pyramid.
But what do kids like a 20-year-old kid today? What kind of Renaissance man is he going to grow into? He can play video games. He can play the Wii guitar thing or something, and
the didgeridoo.
Yeah, he can't even do chainsaw art or nothing. I mean, hell, I can't do chainsaw art. I do kind of want to do some chainsaw art, even if it's. I think that'd be interesting.
Yeah,
But my whole point is kids a Renaissance man or today, kids, it's all electronics. Everything is electronics. It's video games. It's, hell, look at this whole contraption. I mean, setting up cameras and this and that. I can't do any of this stuff. But,
this is second nature to them now.
Yeah.
I mean, but what I'm saying about my secretary.
Yeah, I got
back to
I got on the holy tear there for a minute.
But this is my point is that I went in there one day because when I work, especially when you're running a business. I mean, you got skin in the game, man. You want to make sure your stuff's running tight. So.
I remember the time me and you were we were going to drink. We set out to get drunk. We went out to East Texas, and we're on the way out there, and you got a phone call. And you set up an appointment for 5 o'clock in the morning or 7 o'clock in the morning. You're like, I got to get up at 5 to be there at 7. I'm like, do you realize you just made a 7 o'clock appointment and we're not even to Tyler yet? And we're, and you're like, well, yeah, when you got to work, you got to work. It's like, yeah, but you can start working at 9 just as And then the next time I talked to you about that, you left your book in my truck, your appointment book. You're like, that was the dumbest thing I ever did was make that appointment that early. I knew it was stupid, but that was you, man. Go.
Yeah, so I expected everybody else to do. So I walked in their office one day, and they're all sitting around on their phones, and it's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm like, I don't pay y'all to sit around and play Facebook and all the Facebook was getting popular back then.
Yeah, you did pay him to do that. You just didn't know what was going on.
Right, but my point is that they were like, well, we're done. If you got something else for us to do, we'll do it, but we're done. We don't have anything else to do.
And you didn't want to be a dick and go, clean the shop,
well, no,
sleep up. You were blown away by the fact they were done, huh?
And that's what I told them. I said, okay, well, here's the deal. I said, I've got a lot of stuff that I could give to y'all that I need off my shoulders. And I could be more productive in other areas. And so we did. Same thing. We're done. You got anything else? And I said, I'll tell you what. Because it wasn't like they were making mistakes. All their stuff was done, and it was done right, and it was correct. And that's what they told me. They said, Mark, do you not understand that we're women? We prioritize. We have shit to do when we get home. We don't. The moment the clock hits 5 o'clock, we're out of here. We don't want to stay till 5:30. That 30 minutes is 30 minutes at home of stuff that I've got to get done. Homework, baths, cooking, cleaning, whatever it is, And so I said, okay, I'll tell you what. If that's the case, y'all can do your job however you want to do it. And when you're done, you can leave, and I'll pay you for 8 hours. And every day they were done between 12 and 1 because they were divvying off all their other projects to each other.
Yeah, they knew who could knock it out and what was going to slow somebody down. I got your back. You got mine.
Well, I'm free. I'm done with mine. Can I help you with your task? We can get out of here an hour early. And they did all the time. It got to where it was on a consistent basis, and everybody, all those drivers and guys, what's going on here, man? You get to take off early, and I was like, well, you might want to.
You want to know what you should have told the driver? Shut up. She probably drives the truck better than you too.
Oh no, you throw a woman in the mix of a bunch of truck drivers, and they don't even have to be a butch. They're out there. We had a woman driver. We hired a woman, and you want to talk about the whole dynamic of the company changing. You want to talk about 70 men just all of a sudden.
Reality check.
Oh, every one of them had a wedgie, you know. It's like every single one of them, you just, oh yeah. Everybody was on time, early, you know, I'll take that next load because that, you know, and that's what I'm saying. Women are that dude. They're delivering 7 to 10 pound babies. I mean, you know how much fucking pain they can take? They're tough, man.
It was up to men to have babies, boy. We wouldn't have much going on.
I'm not kidding you, man. There was a story.
Hey, let me give you a quickie, man. My wife one time told me, she goes, if my phone rings and it's my wife, I answer it because she never calls me unless she needs to talk to me. And she goes, this was many, many years ago. My kids were in grade school or whatever. And she goes, I need you to pick Paul up from school at 3:00. And I started to go, well. And she goes, just pretend it's a tea time and be there. Click. And it was like, oh, yeah. So that's the whole thing with the most man thing, you know. I mean, somebody could take that as like, well, you know, you can't talk to me that way. It's like, oh, well, yeah, she can.
Yeah, because
she never, I didn't ask her what she was doing. Hell, she could have had a doctor's appointment. I don't know what she was doing.
She asked when she needed it.
Yeah.
And that's called respect.
And I jumped to it and made sure it happened because.
She never asked you to do it very often.
Never. But that tea time thing, that one hurt because it was just so dead nuts on.
Yeah.
She knew how to put it in language I could understand. Just be there.
Yeah. I mean.
Shit, man. At one of my kids' baseball games, I showed up and one of the other mothers was there, and Renee's like, oh, yeah, this is my husband. And the next game, the woman said, I thought you were a single mother because I guess my kids have been playing this league all these years and I never showed up.
That's exactly what they used to say to Ann.
Yeah, they thought she was a single. But hell, I'm running an AC business in the frickin' summer. You know, they got a game at, you know, whatever, you know, or Saturday morning at 10:00. Hell, I'm running service calls. It's 100 frickin' degrees outside, you know. You know, practice was at 7:00 at night. Hell, I worked till 9:00, you know. So anyway, the whole point is my wife's totally cool handling the whole deal, you know. She'd get them to practice and, you know, yada, yada, yada. But if, you know, I don't care what the rules are. I just want to know what the rules are.
Yeah, exactly.
And if we got the mutual respect with, you know, I handle this, she handles that. And when I need help, I'll tell you. Not when I need help, I'll ask you. No, she's like, I'll tell you because she don't just, hell, I'll just go to talk to her, you know, back in the old days about something. They'd be like, you know, what's your point? You know, it's like, you know, it's a Saturday morning. I think, you know, we'll just have some little casual. No, get to the point. What's up? You know, it's not that she's harsh. It's like, you know, but, you know, business, you know.
Yeah. No.
So when you get that phone call, hey, I'm answering this. Oh, yeah, it's your wife. It's like, yeah, if you say that, you don't know me very well.
Right. No, and that was, we had the two call rule. If she called twice in a row.
All right.
That meant it was important, you know, because that was my business. Was when my phone rings, that's you know, the first business that I had, the chimney business, you know, every single one of those calls counted, especially depending on what time of year. Like you're saying in the AC business, when you're in the summertime, you got plenty of work, but in the wintertime, every single one of those calls count, you know, whether you're in fuck off mode or you're not. But what I'm saying, though, is during those times, you know, the spring and summer were my screw off times. That's when I was fishing and doing all that stuff. But
yeah, I'm just backwards from that.
Right, but every one of those calls during the week counted because that could justify my if I worked hard Monday through Wednesday, I could justify my Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Oh, you know it. Nothing's better than to get a nice start to the week. You know, you make a week's pay in 2 or 3 days, then
yeah.
But then you can make another week's pay in the other half of the week, and then the next week you ain't got the foot on your neck.
No,
you know?
I would schedule the first part of next week.
No, I just mean if it doesn't work out that way, or you know, well, I'll go play golf, or you know, but I mean, and the thing is, it shouldn't matter how much money you got in the bank, because once you fall into well, I got enough money to not have to work for a month. Well, then why go to work tomorrow? No, you got to go to work tomorrow. So, see, you always got to keep the carrot out of it, but it's part of the discipline, and that's part of the most man thing that we've talked about in the past is that discipline is a big part of this whole thing,
right?
Because people talk a big game until they actually got to do something.
Until they twist their ankle, and it's you got to. Oh yeah, I got all this money in the bank, and I'm making all this money. Yeah, twist your ankle and let's talk. You know, I mean, that's the part of the most man thing again, is that we're not promoting fucking off, but here's the thing. I prepared myself to where I could fuck off.
Yes.
Now,
yeah.
All of my businesses, I've worked my ever-loving ass off. But when you're in a seasonal business where you can make triple or quadruple in 3 or 4 months, and now my rule is that I would put 6 months of money behind to where the company, family, all of our personal and business could be paid for 6 months. And then I had to save a certain amount to where I saved a certain amount to where every year that account was growing, right? That way, whenever the 4 months that I could fuck off. Okay, yeah. But, yeah, so Tim's got to step away for
I got to take a break.
Yeah, take a bathroom break. Oh, yeah, but no, so my point is that I made enough money to keep the business and the business and the house expenses. I'd build that up for 6 months. And then I had a minimum amount of money that I would save every year to where that, because if I'm just working to screw off for half a year, that's not being responsible. So my family needed a certain amount of money to keep stacking up in our savings for our retirement. So what I would do is I'd get all that covered during our busiest season, and then that way, that 3 or 4 days that we would work, you know, I had other employees that did stuff, but I could leave for 3 days because it was all taken care of, and all that money that I made in that 3 days even covered, not only to just cover my bills, it made more than just covering my bills, but I also could stack the next week up to where I set myself up to where I could be 3 weeks booked to where I justified all my, but I ended up taking that fishing. I used to do a lot of offshore fishing. So I ended up turning that into a business where I took people deep sea fishing. I started an offshore charter service. So that's the whole reason I had a house on the coast, and leave that open. A little fresh air in here. Yeah, that's why I had that business to where I was kind of explaining how the charter gig started. But what I was explaining is that during my season, I would save up my 6 months, right, for the business and all the home expenses. Okay, so just talk real fast, Tim.
Yo, hey, anybody home?
Okay, yeah.
I'm back.
So these cameras have got timers on there. So our producer's working on that. So just bear with us. If it goes black, it's just because we got to, every 30 minutes, these cameras will shut off. But we're working on getting that. Yeah, it's 20.
Like we said, is our first
look, 29.
Is our first go round. First of many, maybe. Who knows?
Oh, there's going to be many. But then I had a certain amount that I saved for the family for retirement, right? So that way she couldn't bitch and say, well, you're just working enough to fuck off. No, I was working enough to keep everything afloat, save the required amount that we had set to save for our retirement. And then that 3-day window, I made enough money to go do what I was going to do, plus stack, the books for 3 weeks ahead, where every week had 3 days of good money on it, to where even some of that money was paying the bills and going back to the retirement as well. So
the man with the plan.
Well, that's the whole thing about planning and making good decisions.
And discipline.
It is discipline.
It all comes back to discipline. Structure, as you always say.
Yeah, discipline and structure. It is. It's and life is so much easier when you're organized and your plan works. You know what I mean? Like, not planning and picking up the pieces all the time is why you're always running behind. And that was my ex-wife.
Yeah, I'm not good with the scrambling, always chasing something and reacting to every situation.
That's what causes stress. When you're organized, man, life is good. I mean, it is. I mean, there's nothing better than waking up in the morning and saying,
I golfed yesterday and I'm golfing tomorrow, and what am I doing today? I'm drinking beer with you talking about most, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
I love it.
That's the whole point of the show, and what we're going to be doing is it's helping y'all build this. And anybody can do it. It's just you got to train yourself to do it. Even my dad. He was the king of waking up and walking face first into the door jamb every day saying, today's going to be a great day because it started off just like it did yesterday. But he finally got the point. And he did. He started living on, even if he was hungover or you know what I mean? My dad, we're good Irishmen. We like to drink our beer. And even if he's hungover, man, remember some of them fishing trips where he would sit out there and look at the stars all night till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. We're getting up at 5, and he's just like, strapping his belt on, and it's like
he was a caveman.
Oh yeah,
he was just relentless, man.
Yeah, he wasn't afraid of anything, man.
He had the handshake of a freaking vice. He did, man.
Oh yeah.
He was a small, short dude, but God, you shook his hand, you knew you were locking horns with somebody.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. It come from my grandfather, man. My grandfather was tough. He was tough on us. He would yeah, you don't. That's where that came from. Is like you can tell, and he meant it. Everybody always says it. You can tell a man by, the way he shakes a hand. You get a good gauge of what you're dealing with.
Yeah, man. People do like this elbow thing. Nah, man, just basic. And
yeah,
I wanted to invent a machine one time that was like a hand, like you shook this thing's hand, and then it shook your hand back exactly the way you shook its hand to see what your handshake was like. How about that?
Really?
That'll be our next adventure.
How'd they?
The handshake machine.
How'd he get in?
Well, kiddo.
Hey, we're doing the first podcast.
Look at there.
Get Bobo out of here.
Look at that. We definitely live on the fly.
Yep. So, to him, he was a World War II guy, and he was the Navy boxing champion. He was a tough dude, but he didn't put up. That's where the way how rigid I am, it comes from him. That's how he was. We went to his house for fun. Don't get me wrong, it was fun, but it's lights out. It's lights out. When it's time that's your last Coke or Dr. Pepper or whatever. We got plenty during the day. It was cut off time. There was rules in his house. and they were followed
and enforced.
Yeah, no, I mean they were followed. I mean he didn't like how my dad was. You know, he was soft on my dad because my dad was his favorite. I was his favorite grandson, but he let us be who we were. But that's where it came from. That, like, how my dad was, like, how good of a guy he was. Like, you weren't allowed to be a bad guy. That's why my grandpa, you know, when I was growing up, that's what he told me. You know, you're not allowed to not be a good person. If I find out that you're not, then you got to answer, you know, and he meant it. You know, you weren't a man, and he did. He made us step out in the backyard and throw fists. We weren't a man until we went toe to toe with him. Now, he didn't beat the shit out of us, but he made sure he would, you know, fight a professional boxer.
Give you some pointers there.
Yeah, yeah. Watch
You're
this hand.
with
Boom.
Like a Popeye episode with Brutus or something. You know? Eat some spinach and kick your ass.
But he was a good guy. Like, if you called him, you needed something. Like you say, if I called him in the middle of the night, he answered the phone and he knew why. He's like, he's got Mahoney blood in him. Better figure out.
He's capable of anything.
Yeah. I'll never forget the story he told me about my dad. You know Arlington Heights?
Mm-hmm.
They're off of
Delbert McClinton.
Really?
He went there, and John Denver went to Arlington Heights.
Really?
High school, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
John Denver
Well, my dad went to he went to Southwest, but all his friends were at Pascal because he ran around with all that Fort Worth money, and they went up there and painted that clock tower purple.
Oh.
The whole thing. It did like $20-something thousand worth of damage, and the cops showed up. Yeah, they threw them all in jail. Or actually, no, I take that back. My dad escaped. That's why they went to my grandpa's house. Well, they were getting a visit either way, but my dad somehow kept his driver's license and picked the lock in the back of the car, and he ran. Yeah, and he ended up almost home
with purple paint all over his ass.
I don't know, but I remember
I didn't do nothing. Yeah, full of purple paint.
Well, and what happened was the police were in the front yard, you know, talking to my grandpa. So he went to the other block and went through some neighbor's house and climbed the fence in the back and snuck in. But my grandfather made him turn himself in. But yeah, he escaped.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, I know you had never heard that one.
No, I had.
Yeah, and they had to go up there and, you know, paint it for free. And, you know, my grandpa had to buy, he didn't have to buy all the paint, but everybody had to chip in and buy the materials, and they had to go up there and repaint it white. But they made him primer it first. They were like, "Look,
oh yeah, we get a professional job here.
Yeah,
we ain't letting you off the
got to
hook."
prime it. You can't just put one coat. It's got to be primed and then 2 coats of paint." Yeah. So.
Yeah, you were just cussing painters earlier, cussing them. Oh yeah, nothing against painters.
Well,
we could have hired some Mexicans to go paint it for us, and they got it done in a day. It'd take us a week.
Well, yeah, but the thing about Walter was he was. He's probably 30. He was 30 years old. Yeah, yeah. But he was 30, living in a rent house. You know, just not getting ahead. And I was like, dude, there's ways out of this. And he's like, well, you know, I mean, and it was a sad story. His wife, or ex-wife, or deceased wife, she committed suicide after they had a kid.
Oh, I didn't know that.
She had a pill problem, and she overdosed.
No, I didn't know that at all.
Yeah. So that's how he ended up being a single father. And I take my hat off to him, man. He gunnied up. I mean, he made sure she was taken care of. He was a good dad. He really was. But that's the only thing that matters to him. He'll skim and scam and and not scam, but he'll definitely let you pay the way, but it's when it's time for he wants to be a part of everything too. He wants all the benefits of the getting on the bus, but he doesn't want it when it's time to go to work. He doesn't want to go to work. I've got kids at home. Well, I got kids at home too, more than you. I just I didn't make a bet. That last woman he married, that's why I gave him the chimney business. It's because he married basically a road whore. She's almost like just above a stripper level of.
What was he?
A bad stripper. Some of them good. There's a lot of strippers out there that do their deal just to get through college, and then they're off. And I don't blame them. If you can make good money going through college, working nights, do it.
What was he looking for, a mama for his kid or something?
No, he did everything that I did. Everything that I did, he did. I got married. He got married. I had a kid. He had a kid. My first name, my daughter's first name is Grace. His son's name is Grayson.
Keep going, man. Let's hear some more.
We
bought a truck. He bought a truck.
Pretty much. I wanted to buy that big boat that I have.
Yeah.
And of course he wanted to go in on the boat. I want to help you out, man. Everybody else just jumps on for the ride, and you're the one paying for everything. And I was like, well, it'd be nice to have a partner in it. I don't want to drive all the time. I'd like to get back there and drink some beer with y'all, but somebody's got to be sober. We're 50 miles away from home.
Especially when the Coast Guard shows up.
Right. We're 50 miles away from dry land, Yeah. You need somebody that's got a head on their shoulders.
Yeah, the thing I remember the most first time I went out there was the fact that you could look in 360 degrees and not see anything. And I was thinking, if this thing sank and I had to jump in this water, I wouldn't even know which way to start swimming. You're that disoriented out there in the middle of nowhere.
No, I know. Well,
unless you know how the sun works or something, but the first thing I would do is go off the wind. Because it's blowing, if we're going out into the waves, it's blowing from the south. Well, the first thing I do is just figure out how to stay afloat, and then, just pray to God somebody stumbles across my ass, because I ain't swimming 50 miles.
Oh, hell no.
Oh, not that. I was like, no, I'm not going to swim 50 miles. I can't swim 50 miles.
No, but you can float. But
that's my whole point. I just need to float long enough for somebody to come find me.
Well, no, sharks are stupid enough to just come see what you taste like. I'm not kidding you.
I know. Troy caught that one shark, and I was so hungover that I wasn't fishing or nothing, and everybody took pictures of that stupid thing, and I took a couple pictures, and Wes didn't have any film in the camera, and the only pictures of that shark that Troy caught that he still uses to this day on his computer screen, his computer saver, whatever you call it.
Yeah, screensaver.
Screensaver is that the picture I took with my stupid phone that I just took one or two for the hell of it, because everybody had a million pictures, and everybody fucked it up somehow, and my picture is the only one that survived.
Boy, I tell you what, I had a charter one time, and this family caught a shark, and it was like 6 or 7 foot long, a big ass thing. And I was like, "Do y'all want to keep that?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, we heard sharks
fireplace, man. We're gonna put it over the mantle."
Yeah, and when they're that big, it's like eating a fucking boot, It is.
I don't know.
And trying to clean one, you might as well just throw away your knife when you're done, and your knife sharpener, because they're both useless now. But this was the first time because you're not allowed to shoot them, like what we used to do. They changed the law. Is you take a little snake charmer, like a little stainless steel 410 or a 22, just fucking shoot them in the head. But you're not. It's the whole thing is they don't know if you shot it while it was off the hook or on the hook, so you couldn't shoot them anymore because it was unfair. You had to get it in the boat with your with your manual tools.
And if it was man enough to get away, it deserved to get away, kind of thing.
Right. It's the thrill.
I don't know how the hell I'd get a fucking 6 foot shark in a boat.
So This is before I learned this one trick of, that's why I've got those knives that are, 10, 12-inch blade on them, is because you jab it into the gills to bleed them out, get them to die. I beat this shark with a baseball bat, a softball bat, an aluminum bat. I beat this shark over the head, swear to you, till I could not swing that bat anymore. And it still kept flipping and flopping.
All you're doing is pissing it off.
Right. So I finally, that's where I said, okay, well, and I didn't have my big knife on me, but I had a long, it had a 9-inch blade on it, a fillet knife. And I started sticking it in the gills and all that. And I put a rope around its tail to where we could just hang him off the back cleat at the back and just let him kind of dangle in the water. It was 3 hours later after I beat this thing. And I'm talking, I'm just recouping, from that. And it wasn't, I swear to you, 3 hours, all of a sudden, this thing heaved itself into the boat. Tied by its tail. Flipped his ass into the boat.
He wanted to see who was beating his ass.
Yeah.
He came for some revenge.
Yes. Their brains are like the size of a golf ball.
With one thing in mind.
Yeah. Kill.
Biting your ass.
Yeah. We got all this pressure and all these sharp teeth. Yeah.
I'd have shit my pants.
No, I remember when I get people that call me, hey, you do any shark fishing tours? No. Hell no.
The Man in the Boat. You remember that? Was that John Steinbeck wrote the book that
The Man in the Boat.
Or Man in the and Spencer Tracy played him in the movie, and he caught this sailfish, the whole thing, and then at the end the sharks all came and ate the thing while he was trying to get back to shore. If you've never seen that movie, it'll blow you away, man.
Yeah, no, I'll check that out.
The Man in the Boat, or The Man in the Water, The Man in the Fish. But Spencer Tracy, anybody else out there, you got to watch this, man. The whole movie's just him in a boat. I mean, in a fish. It's like Moby Dick, only different with one guy. I mean, it's.
Have you ever watched that documentary about that guy that? It's the real life story of. That's what that. Oh, it was Robert Redford that did. There was a movie. But basically, Robert Redford played in the movie it's the documentary of what really happened to this one guy. Is that he was sailing across the, I can't think of it as the Atlantic or the Pacific, but probably the Pacific. At any rate, he hit a cargo container or a shipping container at night. Like, he's in there.
They hit him. Probably.
No, just one container that fell off the ship.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah, just had one container that fell off the ship. Well, he's sailing at night.
Yeah, all right.
And he's down in his cabin sleeping, or in the galley sleeping, and just boom, hits this shipping container, rips a big old hole in the side of his sailboat. He tries to fix it and repair it and all this shit, and his boat just finally was...
Get some Flex Seal out. This shit don't work.
Yeah. Yeah. But he had some fiberglass repair kit that he was trying to use. But
yeah, with a hole the size of your head. I mean,
yeah. So he, but there's interviews of this guy that it shows like the real live footage of him, but he survived like 78 or 79 days in a survival boat.
Jeez.
And dude, his story is just, he's on the brink of death every day, and he found a way to, but that shit happens, man. I'm walking.
If you gave me the rest of my life to go find a shipping container and hit it, I couldn't do it. This guy just stumbles across one in the middle of the ocean.
Somebody's got to do it. Those things fall off
There's
all the time.
probably more out there than you think.
Oh, there's more shit out there than, dude, there's been times where I was going out and fucking.
Remember that one time we passed a barrel going out and you said, remember, hey, when we come back in, be watching for this barrel. I remember we were all kind of eyeballing for that barrel.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there was one time, I'm talking logs, man. I'm talking logs this big around. 20-foot long. God knows where they came from, probably down the Mississippi River somewhere and got dumped off, and they...
Yeah.
You know, those tides and currents, they run all different directions. Yeah.
Yeah, you think you're out in the middle of nowhere, but...
No.
Yeah.
No, I had a customer win the lottery in Arlington. I won't say his name. But have you ever seen that book, The Real Men of Texas? Like they took 100 of the most influential men in Texas, like George Strait, you know, Willie Nelson, you know,
100 most men of Texas.
Most men of Texas, yeah. So, anyway, he had a yacht, and I've got all of his fishing, those big fishing reels I've got down at the coast. Those are from his boat, and he was a customer of mine. But at any rate, he was on, and I got invited to go on this trip. They were, of course, he's dead because he drank himself to death. Just fucking
lottery money will do that to you, I guess.
Oh yeah, yeah. But
no discipline.
No
structure. You need a structure and discipline.
Yeah. Well, they were running offshore. He had a big sport fishing yacht. And all those boats have autopilot. I mean, I had autopilot on mine, but I'm just saying that's what they do is they'll put them things on autopilot and just let somebody sit up at the tower and watch. Well, he fell asleep, which happens a lot. And I think they were only like 30 miles offshore. Like, you know, they had just, all right, man, drunk, going to bed, you know. We'll be there by morning, you know. So they had night shifts. Well, they were all so drunk that none of them got up for their night shift. This guy passed out on the bridge. And they all get woken up. And this ship didn't even see him. A big container or fuel ship or you know, oil tanker or whatever. I don't know, but it's one of them big ships. Because when they're going through the water, they're sucking so much water to push that water. You know, because it's pulling in water to propel it, right? That's just like when you're down in South Texas and you see those barges go by.
Yeah.
That have all those, you know, those big barges, and they'll suck 5 foot of water off the shoreline. That's how much water they're pulling in.
Yeah, and then it rushes back.
Right. But but it's pulling that much water that the level goes down that low. It's moving that much water as it's going by. So that's what it did to this boat is it sucked it in, and they got tied up right beside it. Thank God they were going the same direction or semi in the same direction.
Yeah.
So that what it was doing was it was sucking the bow, trying to suck the bow under the boat. So the propellers are out of the water.
And they're all drunk.
They're all fucking drunk. This is how they're getting woken up. Could you imagine being woken up like that? Having and that boat probably had no clue.
Your boat's at a 30-degree angle.
More than that.
More?
Yeah. They said that the guys inside the cabin couldn't even get out.
Walking on the wall.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Could you imagine that? Hit your button.
Like, who the hell is paying attention?
Nobody.
Nobody's paying attention.
Yeah, it was and they came back and they acted like it was no big deal. Like, you know, hell, we survived that. And I was like, man, you stupid motherfucker. You know, but that's what happens when you make that kind of money. You put that kind of money in somebody's hands it doesn't belong in. They won like, it's like 28 million. I mean, this is back in the 90s, you know, or early 2000s. Okay. Well, they took what is it? Is it a 20-year payout that you pay?
Yeah.
Is it 20? I think it's 20. Yeah. So he took the 20-year payment plan. Well, by year 4, they were selling their future payments They were selling those
at a discount.
At a discount. They got down to where they were selling the last couple for 10 cents on the dollar. $1 million, and they'd get 100,000 or not even 100,000. You're getting like, what's 10%? What's 10 cents on $1 million?
Yeah, 100,000.
100,000, yeah, 10 cents on the dollar, yeah.
That's so idiotic, man.
Well, but that they had 17 more years to get to where they could get to that. That's how fast they went through the money. And that's how a lot of those stories go.
Oh yeah, absolutely. My wife bought some lottery tickets for this 1 point whatever billion deal, and my son, he's like, "Well, what do you do with the money?" I'm like, "Well, I think I'll put windows at the lake house," and he's like, "No, he's wanting Lamborghini talk and." He's like big picture thing, but that's my wife, I'm just going to put some windows in the house.
But that's the difference between your generation
and
my next generation.
Here's the good news, though. She said she was going to divide it up 25% each between her, me, and my two sons. They each get, she says, you can do whatever you want with your share, so yeah, Steve there, my youngest son, man, he'd buy a car that, it costs $30,000 for an oil change or something. I mean, you want to talk about the epitome of a kid with a champagne taste on a beer budget, man. That's my youngest there. But
yeah.
I don't doubt someday he'll be a millionaire. He will. He'll figure it out somehow.
Well, but you got to have. But here's the thing:
he's got the drive. He wants to do it.
But there's girls on OnlyFans. You know what OnlyFans is?
No.
It's like legalized porn. I mean, hell, there's girls on, they get in bikinis or in their panties and bra, and you got to pay a membership to be a part of their. It's like having an online Facebook page, but you get naked, and I don't know what kind of sexual acts they do on themselves. I've never been on there. I don't know. But there's girls on there making $300,000-$400,000 a month. Selling their bathwater.
Driving Lambos, huh?
Yes.
They can afford a Lambo.
But no, this younger generation, all these influencers on YouTube that are doing good. I mean, there's kids on there making that kind of money.
Man, I just don't understand it. Bitcoin, all that. I mean, I'm an old dinosaur, man. I don't get it.
I'm starting to figure out Bitcoin, but
I don't even want
you had to get in on the right time. Well, the whole thing.
I was at a bar and a guy asked me at Despo's over there where we always go on Wednesdays. This guy, I swear to God, Bitcoin was at like $700-800 or something. And he asked me about it. That was the first time I ever heard about it. This was whatever, 5 years ago or longer, whatever it was. He goes, so what do you think about Bitcoin? I'm like, I don't even know what it is. And so he kind of tells me, and I said, what's the point of it? He goes, so there can be an economy that nobody can keep track of.
Well, but
hang on. But and my initial reaction to that was, well, the government ain't going to put up with that, because the last thing the government wants is an economy that they can't keep track of or tax or whatever. And I think I was right. I just think my timing was wrong, because, if I'd have bought some of that for $600-700, of course, I'd have sold it when it got to $1,200. I never would have wrote it up to frickin' $60 trillion or, you know. But same thing with my son with the GameStop.
Yeah.
When it was at $12, he told me, buy every last bit you can get. And I said, what's your, high end? Where do you think it's going? He said, $94. I said, I laughed.
Because on Reddit, that's what they were saying. We're all getting out at 90.
Oh, I laughed at him. No, this is before, when it was at 12.
Yeah.
But I laughed at him. I'm like, when? How quick? He's like, anytime, man, before the end of the year. I'm like, that's a 7-banger, man. You ain't making 700% that quick. And I'll kiss your ass if it didn't go winging way past
I did.
that.
I watched the the documentary.
Oh, he was in on that from day one.
But
we wound up putting $25,000 worth of solar. I don't know how much money he made on that crap, but he wrote us a check for $25,000 to put solar panels on his house, and he's 27 years old.
Yeah,
and he will not have an electric bill for the rest of his life.
Yeah, well, no. So that all started on Reddit, and Reddit is like, I haven't done that much with it, but it's kind of like it's a social media platform.
Yeah, my kids mess with that.
Yeah, but they were they had it planned out. I watched the documentary on it, and it was brilliant for young kids. I mean, they were like, because why would that's, the people that owned, GameStop was obliterated.
Yeah.
There was no model that brought it back.
But I remember my kids used to go to GameStop and we'd trade games and all that. I mean, I live in Grapevine and their headquarters is in Grapevine.
Right, but
we were up to speed on this.
They had to pay those shorts. What they did is they shorted the stock.
Oh, yeah.
You know what a short is, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that's what they did. They all jumped in all at once and shorted it.
And then the short squeeze was on.
And that dude was like, surely these kids ain't got this kind of money to keep going this long. And it just kept going and going and going. And that's where they all said that, as soon as it hits 94 or 92 or whatever the number was, I don't know exactly what the number was, but that's when, because they were online every day saying, hey, this is the mark. When it hits this mark, we're all dumping it.
No, man, they all held.
And then they held on.
They all held.
But they held on and on. But what I'm saying is the people that got in low were like, when it hits here, we're going to dump.
Paul said, we said, what do you want for Christmas? He said, GameStop shares. And we just laughed at him. Jesus, whatever. Yeah, what a knuckle. Oh, my God. That was when it was $12.
Yeah. So there were a lot of people made a lot of money.
Well, I know where we were at when that all happened was the famous idiot job that we had the gypsy.
Oh, good God.
Yeah, that job, that my kid was over there on that job, and that's when it was at $12, and it launched from there. So, yeah, he's over there. I'm paying him whatever, $20 an hour to help me.
From what I understand.
Next thing I know, he's like just watching this shit go from $12 to freaking $400, and I'm paying him $20 an hour. I should have been paying him to be a consultant, but.
Well, so the Bitcoin thing. But from what I understand, and I'm no expert, but I'm just, it's the way it works is somebody's got to lose for you to win. If you're buying it low.
So it's a Ponzi scheme in the scheme of things.
Well, but Elon Musk is getting behind it, man. He's getting behind it. And I don't know what all he's doing, but he's pumping it pretty hard. He's behind. I mean, but here's the thing, like, it's like a stock or is that if one guy buys it for $1 and as it goes up, there's somebody that pays $10 for what you paid $1 for. And that's how you're making. So somebody has to lose for you to win.
But my whole point with the whole thing is when the guy explained it to me that the whole point of this was to beat the government out of money.
Well, not depend on the banks.
Okay, now, I don't even want to get into Bitcoin talk because I've talked about this for 10,000 years with people. I still don't understand it.
I don't understand it either.
I don't even want to understand it.
Yeah.
All I know is I told that my advice to the guy was if its whole sole purpose is to beat the government, you might want to watch out because the government's pretty good at not getting beat. And ultimately, that may be what happens, but I was damn sure wrong about the timing of it because that shit went, what did it top out at about 70 or 80 grand?
I have no clue.
60, yeah.
The only reason why I know anything about it is when other people bring it up on, like, if I'm watching something on YouTube, some investor or something. But anytime anybody comes at me and going, hey, man, you need to get in on this new, whatever it is, crypto coin, or I'm like, dude.
I ain't a new guy about it. I'm the dinosaur. I'm the old guy that I'm totally broke, but I own properties and equity and houses, man. I'm the prototypical, house rich, cash poor kind of guy. But the reason I'm or not the reason, but one of the benefits of being cash poor is you don't do stupid shit. You don't go buy crazy stuff. You don't, by cash poor, I just mean, yeah, I can't go.
You're just not throwing it around.
Yeah, I'm not going to go write a $10,000 check for a boat. I just ain't doing it. But.
Well, but I mean, all of that, there's a time and place for all of that, I think.
Oh, no doubt about it. Well, hey, man, I've been getting, my phone's been wearing out with the people I'm supposed to go see Joey Love and the Blues Express tonight.
Hit it one more time, just.
I got music to go watch tonight.
Yeah, it's 5:37.
Joey Love and the Blues Express. I used to stalk this guy 30 years ago, and he don't play around much anymore. He lives in
Well, no, I'm friends
East
with him.
Texas.
I see his Facebook stuff.
Yeah, so he
one hell of a freaking beard on him right now.
Yeah, well, Saturday night we went out to Tyler and watched him play, and we just so happened, not him, I'm sorry, saw Anson Funderburg play out there with Edwin Holt and Tyler. And then after the show, I was talking to his drummer, and he said, "Oh, I'm going to be at Nate's Seafood Thursday night with Joey Love." And it was like, well, hell, I'll be there, So the old drunk music talk, I'll be there. Next thing you know, I got Don's going, my kids, and, there's a bunch of people showing up. So,
yeah. Well, hell, it was good.
I loved it.
Yeah. So I think we got our point across, but
a little all over the map. But that's the way we roll.
Hey, got to get the crinkles worked out somehow. So, yeah.
Perfect.
I think it's been good. And again, the message is don't be a most man. We want to build better men that want to help make
that's
better
what
decisions.
People need to understand. I mean, the most man doesn't, we're not promoting most man. See, so you gotta understand. It's like Bitcoin, once you understand it, then you understand. We're not promoting most man. You don't want to be a most man.
No, you want to be a man. You want to be a real man.
Don't be a most man.
No. Join the men's club.
There it is.
Get your man card. Get your balls back. Get your life back. And before you lose it, get your man card and get your balls back so you can retain them. Because makeup doesn't fix everything. If they're rotten on the inside, makeup doesn't fix that.
Can't put lipstick on a pig in this situation.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good girls out there, but there's a lot of bad ones too. And girls, there's a lot of good guys out there, but there's a lot of stupid ones out there too. So
there's a lot of they get what they deserve.
Yeah, it goes both ways, man. Just because what they have right now doesn't mean that once you start having kids, man, that you might be living a good life or y'all starting out a good life and all that, but once you start dumping kids into the situation,
it's a fluid situation.
Yeah. Did y'all have the 5-year talk when kids start happening? Come on, man.
Yeah, my wife said
his salary might have been good when you first started off, but now all of a sudden it's like, man, yeah, his salary didn't change.
No, check this out.
Your life did.
My wife said when we started sprouting kids, she said, well, I'll quit work and I'll go back to work when they go to school. So figure that's the 5-year, 2 kids, 7-year window. I'll go back to work. She never went back to work. The beautiful thing is she didn't have to go back to work because I was making enough money for her to stay home, and she ran the house exactly how a house is supposed to be run. She took care of those kids, took care of their school, took care of the yard, took care of the food, the clothes, everything. And I was out making money. And it was a strain on the relationship because I was gone a lot. But once we got it back together and, we both knew that we took care of business like we were supposed to. And now we're riding off in the sunset together. And it was all worth it.
Yeah. No, I have no problem with I have a problem with it now. We didn't have a choice, my generation. Every woman wanted to stay home. But
she was the one with the college degree, and I was the one with the high school diploma. And she was making more money than me, and I turned the worm on that deal. And, I didn't make money because I was a genius alone. I made money because I worked hard and stayed after it, and
Yeah.
it takes it all. You got to hustle. You got to be smart. You gotta run the business.
You got to be street
lean
smart. You got to be street smart.
Lean and mean, and
if you're not street smart,
I'll tell you what, I've overpaid a lot of people throughout my life that made me a lot of money. And I had buddies go, man, it ain't worth paying that. It's like, well, that dude will be there when I need him.
That's
I mean,
right.
you gotta see the big picture, and some people don't. Some people are penny foolish, and what's the saying? Pound hard, penny, or walk over a dollar to get to a dime, and yada yada yada. But anyway, we're both businessmen, and we're just trying to help the world.
Oh, this is just the beginning. So we wanted to get the first one. I think we did pretty good getting it out of our system.
Yeah, we
took a little bit of beer to.
We didn't screw nothing up.
I'm not afraid of that thing.
I never was.
Huh?
I never was. I'm too stupid to know. Hell, man, you give me
I just don't like people shoving cameras in my face.
Man,
like, let's get a picture. I mean, I don't mind taking pictures, but my best pictures are the ones that I didn't know were taken. When somebody's put me on the spot, oh, come on, big smile. I'm like, I don't want a big smile.
A big old chive on your tooth from the baked potato.
Yeah.
Hell, my wife bitched at me for years about, screaming at the TV saying, nobody can hear you. Well, hell, now they can hear me. So,
yeah,
shit, I'm ready to go. Hey, man, I've bitched at my dashboard. I've bitched at my steering wheel. I mean, fuck, man, get me talking. I'm ready to go.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Well, Tim, it was great having you.
All right.
And you will be here many, many more.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is the beginning.
Thanks, brother Mark.
Appreciate it.
I love the spinning globe here.
Yeah,
I'll come back just for that.
Don't put your finger. It's magnetic, and it doesn't take that much for that thing to. Okay, well, we're gonna wrap this up. We thank y'all. Y'all have a good day. Good night.